Deep in New Mexico, there's a desert where footprints appear out of nowhere. When rain soaks the white sand, they rise from the ground like ghosts. When the ground dries, they fade away again. Park rangers call them ghost tracks. And for years, nobody knew how old they really were. Then scientists finally dated them. And the number they got didn't just surprise them. It broke the entire history of the Americas. 23,000 years old. That's roughly 10,000 years before human beings were supposed to have set foot anywhere on this continent. And here's the strangest part. Most of these footprints weren't left by mighty Ice Age hunters. They were left by teenagers and children. Here are 7 clues hidden in these tracks. Number 3 follows a mother on a desperate journey. And number 7 rewrites the story of America itself. Welcome to White Sands, New Mexico, the largest gypsum dune field on Earth. A blinding, snow-white sea of sand. But during the last ice age, this desert didn't exist. In its place stretched a huge, shallow body of water called Lake Otero. Its muddy shores were a highway for life. Mammoths, giant ground sloths, dire wolves, ancient camels, and, as it turns out, us. Every footprint pressed into that wet mud could be buried by sediment, sealed away, and preserved like a photograph written in stone. In 2009, park manager David Bustos began noticing them, pale outlines that appeared after rain, then dissolved again in the dry wind. Scientists confirmed it. Thousands upon thousands of prints layered across the ancient lakebed. One of the largest collections of fossil footprints on the planet. But footprints don't come with a birth certificate. Without a date, they were just curiosities, breathtaking but impossible to place in history. Then researchers noticed something growing through the toes of history. Tiny aquatic seeds. And seeds can be carbon dated. Number 1, the textbook story. For almost a century, the books told a neat, tidy tale about the first Americans. It began in the 1930s when elegant stone spear points turned up near Clovis, New Mexico, just a few hours' drive from White Sands. The theory went like this. Around 13,000 years ago, hunters crossed the Bering Land Bridge from Siberia into Alaska. Then they marched south through a newly opened ice-free corridor between 2 great ice sheets and spread across 2 empty continents. The idea was called Clovis First, and for decades it was practically law. Archaeologists who claimed older sites risked their reputations. Cracks did appear. A site in Chile, Monteverde, was reluctantly accepted at about 14,500 years old. But sites like that are hearths, bones, and tools, always open to attack. Skeptics could question the dates, the layers, the interpretation. A footprint is different. A footprint is a human being, standing in one exact spot, at one exact moment. You can't argue with feet. Number 2, the date itself. Sealed in the layers above and below the prints grew a humble water plant, ditch grass. Its tiny seeds were trapped in the very same mud as the footsteps. In 2021, researchers radiocarbon dated dozens of them. The results came back with stunning consistency. The tracks were pressed into that shore between 23 and 21,000 years ago. To understand why that's shocking, you have to picture Earth at that moment. It was the coldest depth of the last ice age. Ice sheets up to 2 miles thick buried Canada, locking the northern door. The famous ice-free corridor? It didn't exist yet. That corridor wouldn't open for thousands of years. Yet here were people, strolling along a lakeshore in New Mexico. Which means they must have entered the Americas even earlier, before the walls of ice slammed the gates shut behind them. In a single measurement, the human story in America grew by 10,000 years. But the prints held secrets far more personal than a date. Number 3. The people behind the prints. When researchers measured the tracks, they found something unexpected. Most were made by children and teenagers. Kids running, splashing, zigzagging across the wet flats. Small feet everywhere, moving in every direction at once. It paints an intimate picture. Adults working, children playing and fetching and carrying. Not just a hunting party, a community. And then there's the trackway scientists can't forget. One set of adult prints, moving fast, in a dead straight line for over a kilometer. The prints press deeper on one side. She was carrying something heavy on her hip. And every so often, tiny toddler prints appear beside hers. She was carrying a small child, setting it down for a moment, lifting it again, hurrying across dangerous, open ground. Hours later, the very same feet came back the other way, slower this time, and the child's prints were gone. Did she deliver the child safely to someone? We will never know. It's a mystery preserved in mud for 23,000 years. Number 4. The monsters walking beside them. Because human feet aren't the only ones pressed into that ancient shore. Columbian mammoths punched craters the size of dinner plates. Dire wolves patrolled the waterline. American camels, yes, camels, trotted past. And then there's the giant ground sloth, a clawed beast heavier than a car, towering over any grizzly when it reared upright. In one spot, human tracks trail a sloth's. Then, suddenly, the sloth's prints twist. It rears up, swings around, changes direction. The human tracks close in. Scientists believe they may be looking at a stalk. People deliberately testing, maybe hunting, a giant. In another place, a mammoth walked straight over a line of human prints, stamping them, just minutes or hours after they were made. These surfaces are snapshots of coexistence. Families and Ice Age giants sharing the same beach, sometimes the same afternoon. It's the closest thing we'll ever get to security camera footage of the Pleistocene, and it was almost dismissed as impossible. Number 5, the fight over the date. A claim this big attracted immediate and completely reasonable fire from other scientists. The critics point: water plants can absorb ancient carbon dissolved from old rocks, which can make their seeds date far too old. If the ditch grass had been drinking old water, the whole 23,000-year story could collapse. Science demanded a second opinion. So in 2023, the team came back with 2 completely independent clocks. First, pollen from pine trees, land plants, immune to the old water problem. Same layers, thousands of grains, the same answer. Second, luminescence dating, which measures when buried. Quartz grains last saw sunlight, no carbon involved at all. The same answer again. And independent teams have since retested the site with fresh samples, landing once more in the same window. 3 different clocks, 1 verdict. The footprints held. The old timeline really is broken. Which leaves the biggest question of all: how did those people get here? Number 6, the new route to America. If the inland corridor was sealed under ice, there had to be another door. The leading suspect, the Pacific coast, a ribbon of beaches, islands, and rich kelp forests running all the way from Asia to the Americas. Scientists call it the Kelp Highway, a cold but generous route you could follow with simple boats, hugging the shoreline, feasting as you go. Coastal travelers fishing their way south wouldn't need the corridor at all. The ocean's edge never fully froze shut. Genetics adds a clue. The ancestors of Native Americans split from Siberian populations roughly 25,000 years ago. Some researchers think those ancestors then paused for millennia in Beringia itself. a lost, grassy homeland now drowned beneath the Bering Sea. And White Sands no longer stands alone. Bluefish Caves in Canada's Yukon hints at humans 24,000 years ago. A cave in central Mexico, Chiquihuite, holds stone tools claimed to be older still, though that one is fiercely debated. Here's the problem. The Ice Age coastline, with its camps and landing sites, now lies drowned under 100 meters of ocean. The evidence isn't missing, it's underwater. And that is exactly why a desert in New Mexico became so precious. Number 7, what it all means. American history just stretched back by 10,000 years, and that changes everything. It means people didn't just arrive after the Ice Age loosened its grip. They lived here and thrived here, through its coldest depths. It means Clovis wasn't the beginning at all. It was a later chapter in a much older, much richer story. For many Native American nations, this was no shock. Their oral histories have always said, "We have been here since the beginning." When the Ice Age finally ended, Lake Otero evaporated. Its exposed bed crumbled into gypsum crystals, and the wind piled them into dunes. The white desert that tourists visit today is, quite literally, the ghost of the lake those families once walked beside. And the dunes are still moving, still revealing. Thousands more prints likely wait beneath the sand, with even older layers below them. The next footprint to melt out of the gypsum could push the date back further still. Teams are excavating right now. So picture her one last time. A young woman on a wet shoreline, a toddler on her hip, giants moving in the distance. She isn't a theory or a spear point. She's proof that people lived, worked, and carried each other across this land in the deep Ice Age. 23,000 years later, we knelt beside her steps and finally understood the message. We didn't just find footprints, we found a family. If this story moved you, subscribe and turn on notifications, because our planet's past has many more secrets waiting under the sand. History isn't only written in books. Sometimes it's written barefoot, in the mud, by a mother in a hurry.